Tonight, dear listener, let us travel back nearly 2,000 years to a world where marble arches stretched gracefully toward starry skies, gentle fountains trickled across quiet courtyards, and the slow rhythm of life unfolded beneath the silver-green canopy of olive trees. The Roman Empire was vast and grand, spanning from the misty, heather-covered hills of Britannia in the north to the sun-baked, palm-fringed deserts of North Africa in the south, from the rugged mountains of Hispania in the west to the fertile river valleys of Syria in the east. It was an empire built on roads that connected distant hearts, aqueducts that carried life-giving water over valleys, and laws that sought to bring order to chaos. But among its sunlit plazas, where pigeons cooed softly on statue pedestals, its bustling yet harmonious forums, where philosophers debated under shaded porticos, and its tranquil villa gardens, where bees hummed lazily among blooming roses, peace and warmth awaited those who paused to listen, to breathe, to simply be in the moment. Close your eyes now. Feel the weight of the day lifting from your shoulders like a heavy toga slipping away after a long journey on the Appian Way, the ancient road paved with smooth basalt stones that still echo with the footsteps of travelers from centuries past. Settle in deeply, letting your body sink into the softness of your bed, as if reclining on a cushioned Roman triclinium in a shaded atrium, surrounded by the faint glow of terracotta oil lamps flickering with olive wick flames, and the distant murmur of a flowing aqueduct bringing fresh water from distant springs. Allow these calming stories from ancient Rome to envelop you like a warm woolen palace shawl on a cool autumn evening in the hills outside Pompeii, lulling you gently into a restful, dream-filled sleep where worries dissolve like mist under the morning sun rising over the Tiber River. Imagine yourself stepping through a portal of time, your feet touching the smooth, worn cobblestones of the Via Appia, the Queen of Roads, stretching 350 miles from Rome to Brindisi, lined with cypress trees and tombs that whisper stories of the past. The air is filled with the earthy scent of pine and cypress resin, mixed with the faint tang of sea salt from nearby coasts, and the subtle sweetness of ripening figs from roadside orchards. The stars above Rome, the same constellations like Orion the Hunter, or the Pleiades that guided Julius Caesar across the Rubicon River, or watched over the humble farmer plowing his fields, twinkle with ancient wisdom, inviting you to explore a world where emperors like Augustus pondered philosophy in silence amid his gardens on the Palatine Hill, where families shared bread by candlelight in modest insulae apartments, and where the gods, Jupiter with his thunderbolt, Venus with her doves, whispered through the rustle of leaves in sacred groves. These stories are not of the empire's battles or conquests, like the legions marching across the Rhine, or the gladiators in the Colosseum's arena. No, we leave the clamor behind. Instead, we delve into the quiet moments that made Roman life so enduringly human and relatable. The gentle routines of daily existence in a bustling market or a serene villa. The serene beauty of nature in olive groves or along riverbanks. The warmth of home and hearth with family gatherings around a simple meal. The tranquil wisdom of philosophers like Seneca, who wrote in his letters from his villa at Nomentum about finding peace in simplicity, and the timeless lessons of peace, reflection, and connection that resonate even today in our busy world. As we journey together through these tales, let each word carry you further into relaxation. Each pause allow your breath to deepen and slow like the steady flow of the Po River through northern Italy. Each image paint a peaceful scene in your mind's eye, transporting you to terracotta-roofed homes where the evening light filters through vine-covered pergolas. Breathe in the calm of a Roman dawn, where the first light gilds the 7 hills and roosters crow softly from farmyards. Exhale the tensions of today, letting them drift away like leaves on the Tiber's current, and let us begin our tranquil wander through the eternal city and its far-reaching empire, where every stone, every tree, every quiet moment holds a story of serenity waiting to unfold. In this vast realm, where roads like the Via Flaminia connected hearts across seas and mountains, Romans found solace in the simple and the sacred, balancing the grandeur of their aqueducts and forums with the gentle art of living well. They believed in the power of odium, leisure and quiet contemplation, As much as negotium, the busyness of life, a balance that philosophers like Cicero explored in his dialogues at his villa in Tusculum, where he retreated to write and reflect amid olive trees and fountains. In the stories we share tonight, you'll find echoes of that wisdom, inviting you to release the day's burdens, to rest in the knowledge that peace has always been within reach, just as it was for the Romans who paused to watch the sunset over the Forum Romanum, or to listen to the nightingales in their gardens. So, settle deeper now. Feel the gentle pull of history drawing you in like a warm current, and let the soothing tales of Rome carry you to sleep, where dreams of ancient serenity await. As our calming journey through the Roman Empire begins in earnest, let us first immerse ourselves deeply in the breathtaking landscapes that formed the backdrop of daily life, where nature's quiet beauty provided not just sustenance, but a profound canvas for human harmony, reflection, and renewal. A refuge for the weary soul in an empire that spanned over 2 million square miles at its peak. Picture the rolling hills that dotted the Italian peninsula and beyond, from the fertile, vine-covered slopes of Campania in the south, home to Mount Vesuvius and its tragic yet preserved cities like Pompeii, to the undulating, mist-shrouded ridges of Tuscany in the north, where the Arno River wound its way through valleys. These hills were soft and inviting, their contours shaped by millennia of gentle erosion, blanketed in a vibrant tapestry of wildflowers that bloomed in a riot of colors each spring and summer. Poppies splashed vivid red across the green, like drops of wine from Bacchus's cup. Daisies nodded in pure white clusters, symbolizing innocence in Roman folklore. And lavender bloomed in soothing purple waves, their scent carried on the wind to calm the mind and ease the spirit. These floral meadows were alive with the hum of bees collecting nectar from clover and thyme, the flutter of butterflies like painted ladies and swallowtails dancing from bloom to bloom in lazy patterns, and the occasional scamper of small animals, rabbits darting into burrows or foxes slinking through underbrush seeking shade under thorny acacia bushes. Farmers tended vineyards on these slopes, their hands calloused but skilled as they pruned vines heavy with grapes that would become the empire's renowned wines. Falernian from Campania, sweet and golden with notes of honey and apricot, prized by emperors like Augustus, or Alban from the hills near Rome, crisp and refreshing with hints of citrus. The air in these hills carried the earthy scent of turned soil after a light rain, mixed with the faint tang of ripening fruit from nearby orchards, creating an atmosphere of abundance and peace that invited one to pause, to sit on a stone wall and watch the clouds drift lazily overhead. In these landscapes, Romans found solace from the city's bustle. Poets like Virgil, who grew up in the Mantuan countryside, wandered similar hills, drawing inspiration for his Georgics, verses that celebrated the quiet joys of rural life, plowing fields, tending bees, and harvesting grapes, teaching us that true contentment often lies in nature's unhurried embrace, a lesson as relevant today as it was in the time of the Caesars. As you visualize these rolling hills, let their soft contours smooth the edges of your thoughts, their floral scents fill your lungs with calm, and their gentle slopes carry you further into relaxation. Flowing through the heart of this picturesque terrain was the gentle Tiber River, Rome's eternal lifeline and silent guardian, its waters meandering from the snow-capped Apennine Mountains in central Italy to the Tyrrhenian Sea over a course of about 250 miles, nourishing the land along the way. The Tiber was not a raging torrent like the Rhine in Germania or the Nile in Egypt. It was a calm, steady companion to the people, its surface rippling softly under the sun's caress, reflecting the blue sky like a polished mirror of the heavens above. In ancient times, its banks were lined with graceful willow trees whose long, trailing branches dipped gracefully into the current, creating shaded nooks where fishermen cast lines for mullet, eel, or sturgeon, their boats, flat-bottomed scows crafted from oak or pine, gliding without a sound on the smooth waters. The river's gentle flow powered watermills along its course, where wooden wheels turned with a rhythmic creak, grinding grain into flour for the city's bakeries, the sound blending into the background like a natural lullaby that soothed the laborers nearby. During religious festivals like the Tiberinalia, dedicated to the river god Tiberinus. Flower garlands woven from riverside blooms, irises, water lilies, and mint, were floated upon its waters as offerings, their petals drifting lazily downstream in colorful patterns, symbolizing the passage of time, the renewal of life, and the gratitude for the river's bounties. The Tiber flooded occasionally, its waters rising softly after heavy rains in the mountains, but even these inundations were seen as blessings by the Romans, depositing fertile silt that enriched the surrounding fields, much like the Nile in Egypt, which Roman engineers studied and emulated in their own hydraulic projects, such as the aqueducts that brought water to the city's baths and fountains. Bridges arched elegantly over the Tiber, like the Pons Aemilius, later Ponte Rado, its stone piers standing firm against the current for centuries, connecting communities in quiet unity and allowing travelers to cross with the soft clip-clop of donkey hooves or the roll of cart wheels. Historical anecdotes abound. Legend tells of Horatius Cockles defending the Pons Sublicius Bridge alone against Etruscan invaders, his bravery a symbol of Roman resolve. But in peaceful times, the river was a place for reflection. Poets like Ovid strolled its banks, composing verses about love and exile, while families picnicked on its grassy shores, sharing bread and wine as the sun set in a blaze of orange. As you imagine floating along its gentle course, perhaps in a small boat with oars dipping rhythmically into the water, let the Tiber's serenity wash over you like a cleansing wave, carrying away the tensions of your day like leaves on its stream, reminding us that life's journeys, though winding and sometimes swollen with challenges, ultimately lead to peaceful shores where renewal awaits. Breathe in the fresh, watery air mingled with the scent of wild mint growing along the banks. Exhale slowly, releasing any lingering stress. The Tiber flows onward, and so do you, into deeper calm. Beyond the river valleys and rolling hills lay the olive groves, vast and ancient orchards where gnarled olive trees, some over 1,000 years old even in Roman times, stood as silent sentinels, their twisted trunks like wise elders sculpted by wind and time, their silver-green leaves rustling softly in the Mediterranean breeze that carried hints of salt from the nearby sea. Olives were a cornerstone of Roman economy and daily life, their oil used not just for cooking but for fueling lamps that cast a warm glow in homes at night, anointing the body in baths for smoothness and health, and even as a base for perfumes and medicines. The trees bloomed in the spring with tiny, fragrant white flowers that scented the air like fresh honey mixed with green herbs, attracting swarms of bees whose hum created a symphony of nature's productivity, their hives often placed among the groves to produce olive-infused honey. Harvest time was a communal ritual passed down through generations. Families and workers gathered in October with long wooden poles to shake the branches gently, ripe olives falling like rain into wide nets spread below, their deep purple or black skins bursting with oil that stained hands and clothes in a mark of abundance. The olives were then pressed in stone mills, the oil flowing golden and pure into amphorae for storage or trade across the empire, to Gaul, Britannia, or Egypt. The groves provided more than fruit. They offered shade for midday siestas, where laborers rested on blankets with bread and cheese, sharing stories of the gods. Perhaps how Minerva, goddess of wisdom, gifted the olive tree to Athens in myth, but Romans claimed it as their own symbol of peace. Poet Virgil, in his Georgics, praised these groves as places of rustic bliss, where the farmer found contentment in the land's quiet gifts, away from the intrigues of the city. In winter, the trees stood bare but resilient against frost, their roots deep in the rocky soil, teaching the lesson of endurance through barren times. In summer, their leaves filtered the harsh sun into dappled patterns on the ground, inviting contemplative walks or picnics where children played hide-and-seek among the trunks. Birds like nightingales nested in their branches, their songs a gentle accompaniment to the day's end, while at night, the groves were haunts for owls, sacred to Minerva, their hoots a reminder of wisdom in darkness. Feel the cypress-like stability of these olive trees now, steady, unchanging, a lesson in resilience, standing tall through seasons of plenty and scarcity, reminding us that from humble seeds grow enduring strength and peace. just as the Romans drew sustenance from these groves for body, mind, and spirit. As our exploration of landscapes continues, let these images root you in the empire's serene beauty, each element a thread in the tapestry of calm that wove through Roman life. Scattered throughout the urban and rural landscapes were marble fountains, exquisite engineering marvels that brought the soothing sound of water to city squares, forums, and villa gardens, their gentle bubbling a constant, meditative presence that cooled both the air and the soul. In Rome's grand forums, like the Forum of Trajan with its massive column telling stories of conquest in spiraling reliefs, fountains featured intricately carved dolphins, sea nymphs, or tritons spouting water from mouths or urns, the liquid crystal clear and fresh from aqueducts like the Aqua Appia, the first built in 312 BC by censor Appius Claudius Caecus. The water trickled softly over tiers of basins, pooling in shallow catchments where children dipped their hands or women filled jugs for home. The sound a natural white noise that masked the day's bustle and invited passers-by to pause, to reflect, to refresh their spirits as well as their bodies. In private villas, smaller fountains graced atriums or peristyle gardens, often centered around a statue of a god like Neptune or a nymph, with water jets designed to create patterns that danced in the sunlight, casting rainbows in the mist. These fountains were not mere decoration. They symbolized life's flow, purity, and renewal, often dedicated to local spirits or laras, with coins tossed in for luck, a practice that echoes in modern wishing wells. Engineers like Marcus Vitruvius Pollio, in his treatise De Architectura, described the precise hydraulics needed: lead pipes, gradients, and siphons, ensuring the water's gentle pressure never overwhelmed but always soothed, a testament to Roman ingenuity in harmony with nature. Historical anecdotes add warmth. Emperor Nero had a famous fountain in his golden house that sprayed saffron-scented water, but in humbler settings, fountains were places for community, neighbors gathering to chat, lovers meeting in secret, or philosophers like Seneca pondering Stoic virtues amid the trickle. As you listen to this imagined bubbling, let it wash over your thoughts like a cleansing stream, dissolving stress and fatigue, teaching that even in a vast empire of stone and power, small sources of peace like a fountain's flow can sustain and refresh us, just as they did for the Romans who built them to last through centuries. Tall and stately cypress trees lined the roads, cemeteries, and villa boundaries, their dark green spires pointing to the heavens like fingers in eternal prayer, providing not just shade but a sense of solemn tranquility that grounded the landscape in quiet reverence. These evergreens were symbols of mourning and immortality in Roman culture, planted in groves where families visited ancestors' tombs along the Appian Way, their resinous scent mingling with incense offerings and the soft murmur of prayers. The trees' branches swayed softly in the wind, whispering as if sharing ancient secrets with those who walked beneath, their height offering protection from the sun's glare and the storm's fury. Poets like Ovid mentioned them in elegies, associating their unchanging form with enduring love and the soul's journey beyond death. In villa gardens, cypresses framed pathways and borders, their shadows long and cool in the afternoon, inviting contemplative walks where one could reflect on life's fleeting nature or the empire's vast history. Birds like owls, sacred to Minerva, goddess of wisdom, nested in their boughs, their hoots a nocturnal reminder of knowledge and darkness, while during the day, sparrows and finches flitted among the needles, their songs a gentle accompaniment to the landscape's serenity. Cypress wood was prized for its durability, used in shipbuilding for the Roman Navy or in coffins for the elite, symbolizing eternal life. Feel the cypress's quiet presence now, steady, unchanging, its aroma sharp yet comforting, a lesson in resilience, standing tall through seasons of growth and dormancy, reminding us that peace often lies in quiet constancy, just as these trees provided a backdrop of calm for Roman travelers and mourners alike. In the countryside, far from the urban sprawl, shepherds tended their flocks with soft whistles and calls, their lives a pastoral rhythm of peaceful care that Virgil immortalized in his eclogues as the ideal of rustic bliss. Sheep grazed on hillside grasses dotted with wild thyme and oregano, their wool white, black, or brown, shorn in spring for tunics, blankets, and trade, the bells around their necks tinkling softly like distant music as they moved. The shepherd's dogs, loyal breeds like the Molossan or Laconian, guarded with watchful eyes but gentle barks, lying in the shade during hot afternoons, their presence a comforting assurance against wolves or thieves. Evenings brought simple campfires of olive wood, where shepherds shared bread, cheese from their own flocks, and stories. Tales of Pan the goat god playing pipes in the woods, or lost loves found in meadows under the moon. This life, often romanticized in Roman literature as an escape from city's corruption, embodied rust and herb, bringing country peace into urban ideals, teaching that simplicity and nature's rhythm offer the deepest calm, a lesson echoed in the empire's art and philosophy. Laughter drifted lazily across the fields, mingling with the bleats of lambs and the wind's sigh, a soundscape of unhurried joy that invites you to release into similar peace. As our exploration of ancient landscapes draws to a close in this section, let these images, the rolling hills, the gentle Tiber, the olive groves, the marble fountains, the cypress trees, and the shepherd's fields, root you firmly in the empire's serene beauty, each element a thread in the vast tapestry of calm that wove through Roman life, inviting you to carry this tranquility into your dreams. From the open, expansive landscapes that define the Roman Empire's natural beauty, let us now step through the welcoming gates into the intimate, sheltered world of Roman villas, those exquisite havens of relaxation and refinement that dotted the countryside like precious jewels strung along a necklace of roads and rivers, built from pale, sun-bleached stone that glowed softly in the golden light of the Mediterranean sun, opening onto flower-filled courtyards where the worries of the world seemed to melt away like morning dew on vine leaves. These villas were not mere residences but true extensions of the Roman soul, designed meticulously for odium, the cherished art of leisurely peace and contemplation, where wealthy patricians, senators, and even emperors like Hadrian escaped the clamor of urban life in Rome or Constantinople to reconnect with nature, family, and the inner self in a setting of harmonious elegance. The typical villa rustica, or country estate, began with a grand yet inviting entrance, a portico supported by fluted columns of marble or travertine, its roof tiled in terracotta that curved gently like waves, often adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting climbing vines, playful birds, or mythical scenes of satyrs and nymphs frolicking in groves. This portico served as a threshold between the outside world and the villa's serene interior, offering shade to weary travelers and a place for the owner to greet guests with a warm embrace or a cup of mulled wine. Historical records from Pliny the Younger, in his letters describing his villas at Laurentum and Tifernum, paint vivid pictures of these entrances as places of transition, where the dust of the road was left behind, and the soul entered a realm of calm. Beyond the portico lay the atrium, the open central court that was the heart of the villa, a spacious, airy square or rectangle with a shallow pool, or impluvium, at its center, designed to collect rainwater that fell through the sloped roof opening, or compluvium, creating a natural symphony of drips and ripples that lulled the household into a state of calm meditation. The impluvium's water was crystal clear, often stocked with goldfish or lilies that floated gracefully, their reflections dancing on the mosaic floor below. Around this space, rooms branched off like spokes on a chariot wheel, each designed for a quiet, specific purpose: storage for amphorae of wine and oil, bedrooms for rest, and alcoves for private reflection. The atrium's walls were decorated with frescoes in the Pompeian style. First style mimicking marble panels, second with illusionary architecture, third with delicate floral motifs, fourth with intricate fantasies. Colors like Pompeian red from cinnabar, Egyptian blue from copper, and ochre yellow fading gently into one another, creating an illusion of depth and serenity that drew the eye to restful horizons. In wealthier villas, like the Villa of the Mysteries near Pompeii with its famous Dionysian frescoes, these paintings told stories of initiation and renewal, inviting guests to ponder life's mysteries in quiet awe. The floors throughout the villa were masterpieces of mosaic art, tiny tesserae of colored stone, glass, or marble arranged in intricate, mesmerizing patterns that told stories underfoot. Geometric swirls symbolizing the cosmos, mythical scenes of gods like Venus rising from the sea, or simple borders of olive leaves and grapes evoking the surrounding countryside. Walking on these mosaics was like treading a living storybook, the cool tiles soothing tired feet after a day of walking the estate's fields or gardens, their surfaces polished to a smooth sheen by generations of footsteps. Mosaics were crafted by skilled artisans, often slaves or freedmen from Greece or Syria, who laid each piece by hand using tools like hammers, setters, and levels, their work a meditation in precision and beauty that could take months for a single room. In preserved sites like Ostia Antica or the Villa Romana del Casale in Sicily, with its 37,000 square feet of mosaics depicting hunting scenes and gymnasts, these floors remain vibrant, a testament to Roman craftsmanship's enduring calm. The mosaics not only beautified but cooled the space, their stone absorbing the day's heat and releasing it slowly at night, creating a natural comfort that invited bare feet and relaxed lounging. Families and guests gathered in the triclinium, the dining room named for its 3 couches, triclinium, where meals became rituals of connection and quiet indulgence. The couches were arranged in a U-shape around a low central table, allowing diners to recline on their left elbows, propped on cushions stuffed with wool, feathers, or aromatic herbs like rosemary for freshness. This reclining posture, borrowed from Greek symposia, encouraged relaxation and conversation, with slaves or family members serving from the open end. The menu was a symphony of simple, nourishing flavors. Bread baked in dome ovens from spelt or wheat flour, crusty loaves torn by hand and dipped in olive oil pressed from the villa's own groves. Cheese from goat or sheep milk, crumbly and sharp, aged in cool cellars. Fruits like apples from the Sabine Hills, pears from Persian grafts, and figs plucked fresh from the garden's trees, their skins velvety and juices running sweet. Olives brined in salt water with garlic and fennel there. Bitterness tempered to perfection. Sometimes, for special occasions, treats like honey cakes flavored with cinnamon from distant Ceylon, or dormice roasted with herbs and stuffed with pine nuts added a touch of luxury. Wine from the villa's vineyards, red Falernian, white Alban, was diluted with water in silver or glass pitchers to moderate its strength, sipped from elegant goblets of blown glass that caught the light like jewels. Conversation in the triclinium flowed gently, discussions of the day's harvest yields, philosophical musings on Stoic virtues like those of Epictetus, who taught finding peace in what we control, or light-hearted tales of marketplace mishaps involving a clever merchant or a runaway goose. The room's walls might feature more frescoes, scenes of mythical banquets in Elysium, with gods reclining under grape arbors, reminding diners of life's fleeting joys and the value of cherishing peaceful moments with loved ones. Anecdotes from history add warmth. Emperor Augustus hosted simple dinners in his villa on the Palatine, preferring plain food and deep talks with friends like Maecenas, showing that even rulers sought quiet companionship. As you imagine reclining there, let the triclinium's warmth fill you. The flavors linger on your tongue, and the conversations soothe your mind like a balm. In the evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of rose, lavender, and deep indigo, torches and oil lamps were lit throughout the villa, their flames casting a warm, golden glow on the painted walls and mosaic floors. Torches of pine resin or wax-soaked reeds were mounted in iron brackets, their light flickering softly with the breeze, while oil lamps, terracotta or bronze, shaped like birds, lions, or gods, were filled with olive oil and wicked with twisted flax, burning steadily without much smoke. This illumination transformed the villa into a cocoon of intimacy, shadows softening the edges of rooms, creating cozy nooks for reading or quiet reflection. In the triclinium, lamps on stands highlighted the diners' faces, making expressions of joy or contemplation glow with ethereal beauty. The air carried the subtle scent of burning olive oil, mingled with evening jasmine or rosemary from the garden, creating a sensory blanket of calm that enveloped the household. Families might gather around these lights to read from scrolls, poems by Horace praising the simple life of his Sabine farm, or histories by Livy recounting Rome's humble beginnings, or play games like Duodecim Scripta, a backgammon-like board game with ivory pieces, moves deliberate and thoughtful, laughter soft in the flickering light. The lamp's gentle glow extended to the bedrooms, where they were placed on small tables, their light dim enough for sleep, but bright enough to chase away fears. This evening ritual taught the Romans, and us, the value of winding down, of letting the day's activities fade into night, a gentle transition to rest. Sleeping quarters, or cubicula, were cozy, intimate retreats branching off the atrium or peristyle. Small rooms designed for privacy and peace, with low beds of sturdy wood frames like oak or pine, strung with ropes or leather straps for support, topped with mattresses stuffed with straw, wool, or even down from geese for extra softness. Woven blankets of dyed wool and earth tones, ochre reds, deep greens, soft blues, provided warmth against the night's chill, while pillows filled with lavender buds or rose petals released soothing scents with every movement, aiding relaxation and sweet dreams. Windows were small and high, shuttered with wooden panels or latticework to allow breezes while keeping out insects and cold drafts, often draped with light linen curtains that billowed softly like sails. In these rooms, sleep was a sacred art. The Romans believed in the restorative power of rest, with philosophers like Seneca advising early bedtimes and clear minds. Dreams were interpreted as messages from the gods, with books like Artemidorus's Onira Critica offering gentle guidance on their meanings. The cubiculum's simplicity, perhaps a small altar to the Lares with a flickering lamp, created a cocoon of security, where one could release the day and embrace the night's embrace. As you imagine lying there, let the bed's softness cradle you, the blanket's weight comfort you, and the villa's overall peace become your own. A lesson in creating sanctuaries of calm in our lives. The villa as a whole was a self-contained world of serenity, often including its own bakeries with dome ovens for fresh bread, wine presses for turning grapes into vintages, baths for daily cleansing, and gardens for contemplation. Wealthier villas like Pliny the Younger's at Laurentum featured libraries with scrolls on philosophy and poetry, gymnasia for light exercise, and even aviaries with birds singing softly. Slaves and freedmen worked alongside the family, their lives interwoven in a system that, while unequal, often fostered loyalty and quiet bonds. Historical villas like the Villa of the Papyri at Herculaneum, with its Epicurean library preserved in ash, or Hadrian's Villa at Tivoli, a sprawling complex of pools, theaters, and groves, show the Romans' love for blending architecture with nature. In these spaces, life flowed like a well-designed aqueduct, steady, nourishing, peaceful, teaching us that true comfort comes not from grandeur alone, but from the gentle rhythms of togetherness, reflection, and harmony with the world around us. As this section on villas concludes, let the portico's shade, the atrium's fountain, the triclinium's warmth, and the cubiculum's softness linger in your mind, drawing you deeper into relaxation. As the sun rises higher over the villa's roof, casting golden light on the dew-kissed gardens, let us now delve into the gentle flow of Roman daily life, a rich tapestry of simple routines, quiet joys, human connections, and small rituals that wove the empire's social fabric, from the bustling streets of Rome to the serene villages of Gaul or Hispania. Markets awoke with the first light of dawn, their stalls lining cobbled streets or grand forums like the Forum Boarium in Rome, dedicated to cattle but overflowing with goods from across the empire. Vendors arrived before sunrise, their carts creaking under loads of ripe fruits, apples from the orchards of Sabine Hills, their skins glossy red and crisp with a snap when bitten, pears from Persian grafts in southern Italy, juicy and pear-shaped with a honeyed sweetness that dripped down chins, grapes in purple clusters from vineyards near Vesuvius, destined for wine or fresh eating, honey in clay amphorae, golden and viscous, harvested from beehives in thyme-scented meadows of Sicily or Attica, used for sweetening or healing, fresh vegetables, leeks with their mild onion flavor, cabbages sturdy and green for stews, turnips pulled from the earth that morning with dirt still clinging to their roots, their leaves wilted but fresh. Vendors arrange their wares on wooden tables or reed mats, calling softly to early shoppers. Taste the sweetness of Campania's figs, plucked at dawn, or honey from Hymettus, pure as the gods' nectar. Shoppers moved at a leisurely pace, baskets woven from willow on their arms, exchanging coins of bronze sestertii, stamped with emperors' faces, or silver denarii for goods, the clink a satisfying note in the morning symphony. Bargaining was an art form, gentle haggling over a bunch of grapes or a wheel of cheese, conducted with smiles, gestures and good-natured jests, often ending in handshakes and extra items tossed in for loyalty. The air buzzed with the low hum of conversation. A farmer sharing news of a bountiful harvest in Etruria, a matron discussing the best way to preserve olives with brine and fennel, or a merchant from Syria describing the spices he brought across the Mediterranean. These markets were more than places of commerce. They were the social hearts of communities, where friendships formed over shared tastes, news spread like wildfire through whispers, and even strangers found common ground in the simple act of selecting a perfect peach. Historical anecdotes bring this to life. Emperor Augustus frequented the markets incognito to gauge public mood, while Pliny the Elder noted in his Natural History the variety of goods from far-flung provinces, highlighting how trade fostered peace. In these interactions, Romans learned empathy, the vendor's patience with a poor customer, the shopper's kindness in overpaying for a child's treat, a lesson that in a diverse empire, connection thrives in everyday exchanges, reminding us today to find joy in the mundane. Shopkeepers were the steadfast pillars of this daily rhythm, their stores often open-fronted to the street for easy access, shelves lined with amphorae of olive oil from Hispania Baetica, bolts of woolen cloth dyed in Tyrian purple from Phoenicia, or pottery glazed in earthy reds from Aretium workshops. A baker might greet his regulars by name, sliding hot loaves from his brick oven with a long wooden peel, the crust crackling softly as it cooled on racks, steam rising like morning mist. "Try this with fresh cheese from the hills," he'd say with a wink, breaking off a piece to sample his stories of the week's events, perhaps a new law from the Senate or a festival approaching. Flowing as freely as the wine he sometimes shared with trusted patrons. Artisans worked in adjacent workshops attached to their shops, potters spinning clay on foot-turned wheels, their hands shaping vases or lamps with rhythmic turns, the wet clay smooth and cool under fingers, blacksmiths hammering softly on anvils with mallets, forging iron tools or bronze jewelry, sparks flying like tiny stars in the dim light. Children watched wide-eyed from doorways, learning trades through quiet observation, sometimes helping with small tasks like polishing a finished piece or sweeping shavings. The pace of the day was unhurried, markets bustling in the morning, then pausing for siesta in the afternoon heat when shutters closed against the sun, streets emptying to the sound of distant fountains or cicadas' song, shops reopening in the cooler evening for late shoppers. This routine fostered a sense of balance, with time for work, rest, and community, a gentle reminder that life flourishes when we allow space for pause. Children's days in Rome were filled with simple games that echoed through narrow alleys, open courtyards, or villa gardens, their play a joyful counterpoint to adult routines. They rolled knucklebones, a straggly from sheep or goats, in games of chance on dusty ground, the bones clattering like gentle rain as they bet pebbles or nuts on the outcome, learning luck and strategy in laughter, tossing harpastum balls, stuffed leather spheres, in friendly competition. Groups of boys and girls chased missed throws through the streets, their shouts blending with the calls of street vendors. Dolls of wood, clay, or ivory, dressed in tiny tunics sewn by mothers, were cherished by girls, who played house in shaded corners, mimicking the daily rituals they observed. Boys raced toy chariots pulled by string or pushed with sticks, imagining themselves as Origi in the Circus Maximus. The crowds roar in their minds. Education began at home or in small schools, ludus, where tutors taught reading and writing with wax tablets and styluses, reciting lines from Virgil or Homer in soft cadences, the lessons interspersed with breaks for play. Beliefs shaped these childhoods. Laras and Penates, the household gods represented by small statues in every home, received daily offerings of bread or wine at family shrines, teaching children respect for the spirits that protected the hearth. Superstitions added gentle rituals to play. Avoiding black cats as omens of bad luck or spilling salt countered with a pinch thrown over the left shoulder to blind evil spirits. In these moments, Roman children learned empathy and community, the older helping the younger in games, sharing toys or treats, a foundation for the empire's social bonds. Anecdotes from history warm this picture. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflected on his own childhood lessons in kindness, while Pliny the Younger described his villa's gardens as places where children played freely, their laughter a balm for the soul. As you recall your own childhood joys, let these images of Roman daily life, the market's gentle exchanges, the shopkeeper's warmth, the children's playful echoes, fill you with a sense of connected calm, drawing you deeper into relaxation. Roman baths were far more than places for mere cleansing. They were magnificent sanctuaries of tranquility, communal hubs where the body, mind, and spirit found gentle restoration through water, warmth, and social harmony, accessible to all classes in a display of the empire's egalitarian ideals. Public baths like the Grand Baths of Caracalla, constructed in AD 216 and spanning over 27 acres in Rome, could accommodate up to 1,600 bathers at once, their massive vaults soaring like the domes of the Pantheon, supported by columns of granite and marble imported from Egypt and Greece. Entry was affordable, a single quadrans coin, the smallest denomination, making them a daily ritual for slaves, freedmen, senators, and emperors alike, a quiet equalizer in a stratified society where the steam blurred social lines. The baths were fed by aqueducts like the Aqua Antoniniana, bringing millions of gallons of fresh water daily from springs miles away, a feat of engineering that Vitruvius praised for its precision and beauty. Private baths in villas were smaller but equally serene, often with mosaic floors depicting sea creatures or nymphs to enhance the watery theme. The bathing ritual began in the apoditerium, the changing room, a spacious hall with niches or pegs for clothing, where attendants, capsarii, guarded belongings for a small fee, offering strigils, curved bronze scrapers for removing oil and sweat after the bath, and towels of soft linen. Bathers undressed without shame, the room's air warm and humid from adjacent heaters, the walls decorated with frescoes of athletes or gods to inspire health. From there, the tepidarium, the warm room, eased the body into relaxation with moderately heated floors and walls, powered by the hypocaust system. Hot air from furnaces circulated under raised floors on brick pillars, warming the space evenly without smoke. Benches of smooth marble lined the walls, inviting quiet chats with friends or strangers, shoulders easing as the gentle heat melted tension. Steam rose softly from small basins, scented with lavender or rose oils distilled in alabaster vials, the aroma calming the nerves and opening the pores. This room was a transition, preparing the body for deeper immersion, teaching the lesson that true relaxation comes in stages, like the slow unfolding of a flower. The calidarium, the hot room, was the heart of the bath, a steamy paradise with large pools of scalding water heated to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the vapor curling like mist in a forest, walls lined with niches for sitting or reclining. Bathers entered gradually, the heat enveloping like a warm hug, sweat beading on skin as toxins released. Attendants offered massages with olive oil infused with herbs, eucalyptus for clarity, chamomile for calm, hands kneading muscles with rhythmic strokes. The room's acoustics amplified soft splashes and murmurs, creating a cocoon of sound that drowned out the outside world. Historical accounts from Seneca describe the calidarium's luxury, where even the poor felt like kings, a space for physical and mental renewal. Finally, the frigidarium, the cold room, provided a refreshing contrast with a plunge pool of cool, unheated water, often open to the sky for natural light. The shock invigorated, closing pores and stimulating circulation, leaving bathers refreshed and alert yet deeply relaxed. Gardens or exercise areas, palestra, adjoined for post-bath strolls, with benches under pergolas for reading or napping. Baths taught hygiene as a virtue, mens sana in corpore sano, a sound mind in a sound body, a gentle daily renewal that fostered community and calm. Anecdotes abound. Emperor Commodus bathed 7 times a day for luxury, while commoners used them as social clubs, discussing philosophy or gossip. As you imagine soaking in these waters, let the warmth seep into your bones, the steam clear your mind, and the ritual wash away fatigue.